Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first of a series of interviews that your Marketing Cloud brother will make to let you discover new trends, new applications. Today, let me welcome Anthony Lamot, the CEO of an application called DESelect. But let's not waste other time and let's go directly to the first question. Anthony, introduce DESelect in 30 seconds.
Well, first of all, thank you, Gianluigi, for having me. And to answer your question, at DESelect, we make it easy for marketers to segment in Salesforce Marketing Cloud. And specifically, we do this by having created an app for the App Exchange, which Salesforce Marketing Cloud customers can use. I used to do many Marketing Cloud projects before, and I found out that many marketers are struggling with SQL. And this is how we really came up with the idea for DESelect.
And Anthony, how do you think DESelect can bring value to a business?
Yes, that's a great question. Well, at DESelect, we found with our existing customers that we can save them an average of 50% of the time that they used to spend on data. Just know that most SFMC customers, they tend to spend about 40% on average across their team on data. So cutting that in half is really significant. As a consequence, these customers can launch campaigns at least 20% faster because the time it takes to build a campaign is reduced, but also the lead time, because often marketers may depend on a technical expert to create the data for them, and there's a lot of going back and forth. And you simply get rid of that if you have a good tool that can enable the marketers. And this also brings me to the last great benefit, which is simply increased user adoption. We noticed this both during implementation, where DESelect can help as an accelerator for the implementation project, but also afterwards, many of our customers report a great user experience, and our customers that are using DESelect see good user adoption of Marketing Cloud overall.
Which are the most common use cases you have experienced as DESelect or you have seen implemented by a client?
The most common scenarios I would say is, well, for one, in many industries, whether they be financial services, retail, or even education, our customers will see a need for cross-sell. They may, for instance, want to segment based on customers who already have a certain product or service, and then try an upsell or cross-sell campaign using that data. That's a very common scenario. Another one is that a customer want to merge tables. So the reason why a customer may want to merge different tables together will again vary from one customer to another one, but it's often because they have different backend systems, or they maybe have a lot of objects in Salesforce itself, the CRM, that they want to merge together so they have rich data sets to do marketing. A great example of that was Cambridge University Press, who's a customer of ours. They used to have a person actually in-house who week by week would spend about 50% of her time just merging different data sets together, deduplicating, data cleansing, and so on, because they have had these different backend systems. And after DESelect came in, that person only had to spend 10% of her time doing the same activities. So, from 50 to a 10% time allocation, at the same time, also the marketers were able to do the segmentation independently from a technical expert. So that's a huge gain. So that was for merging tables. Lastly, another use case that we often see popping up is reporting, actually, because for a lot of reports that you want to build, you'll first want to query Marketing Cloud to get all that rich data that is there in order to be able to build your report. And when I'm referring to the rich data, I'm for sure referring to the data extensions that our customers may have, but also data views. And not everyone may be familiar with data views, but they are essentially out of the box available in Marketing Cloud, and they collect all this information, behavioral information on your customers, such as opens, clicks, where they are in a journey, and so on. And this is a feature that I found to be often underused, but in one of my past consulting assignments, I was actually the lead marketing automation at Toyota Motor Europe. And querying data views was one of those things that I found super powerful because, for instance, it allowed me to analyze the results of A/B tests that we would run across all these different markets in Europe.
Very exciting. But now, tell me something about the most complex scenario you've seen so far.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I love that question. Because as I mentioned before, we have pretty powerful segmentation capabilities right now. So sometimes customers will surprise you in the scenarios they come up with, and you realize we can support it. So that's great fun. So there's one scenario that comes to mind. This was from an insurance company, national insurance company in the U.S., and the challenge that they had is that they were doing mostly B2B communications to their own insurance agents, which could be very large agencies or small brokers. Now the thing is that they also have different products lined up to that, and essentially they had drawn this matrix which combined the different product categories versus the different brokers or agents that could receive these communications linked to these products. All in all, what that meant was that there had to be a certain priority in the way a certain person could receive a certain communication, which was a rather complex logic. Now, here's the thing. They even used Excel and exclusions and all that, and it was a messy, very complex job to do that for every campaign on an ad hoc basis. But within DESelect, they were able to use something that some customers may refer to as waterfall segmentation. Essentially, we have this advanced priority duplication feature where you can define different rules on which you want to um, essentially identify or deduplicate the record you want to do a certain communication to. So with them, we could break up their process of prioritizing certain communications for certain agents in different steps. And again, drag and dropping those criteria together in DESelect, and then afterwards just run it. And it would immediately create that data extension that they needed directly in Marketing Cloud with all the agents indicated with the right communication that they could receive. So that was a huge time saver. And again, that used to be a very lengthy process in Excel, but we made it easy for them.
If I understood well, you're talking about the chain of segments to create a more complex scenario. Interesting. But then are you able of scheduling this multi-step segmentation?
Okay, yeah, that's a very good question, and the simple answer is yes. But to go into a little bit more technical detail here, essentially what you do when you're creating what we call a selection in DESelect, so this is your set of rules, your segment, whatever you want to call it. When you create that in DESelect, in the background, it also creates the actual SQL query in Automation Studio, just like any other query activity that will be written there. Now, the advantage of that is that you can also leverage Automation Studio, because once you have created your one or multiple selections, you can head over to Automation Studio, click there, create a new automation, and just add those queries essentially that you've created through DESelect. And this you can automate, and this you can also schedule. So that's all standard Marketing Cloud features that are just essentially building on top of what you did with DESelect. But here I want to go a little bit further in my answer, and I have to say safe harbor applies, because what I'm sharing now is roadmap, so I hope your listeners will find it interesting. But we even want to go further than that. We feel that there are things in Automation Studio that are also not that intuitive always for just any user. And there's also things we want to do that you cannot even do with Automation Studio. What I'm trying to say is that essentially we are going to build our own automation engine straight within DESelect. So even if you want to schedule multi-step segmentations, like waterfall segmentation that we discussed before, you will be able to do it straight within DESelect.
Very interesting. Can't wait to try it. Are you thinking about providing predefined templates such as channel-based templates or transactional templates?
In itself, as a feature, it is something that we are still looking into expanding. For instance, only recently, I think it was this week in a meeting with a customer, we had this interesting discussion about perhaps letting them create a selection template by an admin, and then marketers would only be able to update certain parameters. This way ensuring there's a standardization and consistency of the segment. So that's something that we want to create, and it probably won't take that long. But today in itself, it's also already possible in a way, because you can create selections and you can simply copy them. So what most customers do is early on in after adopting DESelect on the platform, they start creating selections that are essentially going to become templates for their team. Now, we even help our customers do this because um, in an annual subscription for DESelect, we will include things like onboarding training. We will co-create selections together. There will be a customer success manager available who you can call, and all of that is included. And so typically we will try to co-create such templates with our customers. Having said that, what's even better and what happens more often is that a system integrator is involved, whether it be an agency or a consulting firm. We work together with many of them, and I'm sure you've heard of many of those. Um, and I think system integrators are in a unique position to do this because they will know the customer's data model even better. They've probably helped set it up in the first place, right? And so with these, like, they can really accelerate their work. They can create great templates for their customers, and then that customer is so much more enabled and can start doing campaigns in an efficient way.
Now, Anthony, tell us about where do you see DESelect in the next years?
I want to say in the first place, we've now developed really robust segmentation capabilities, though there are a few more features we want to add there. But essentially, we're really in the phase now where we want to scale up the business and bring to customers what we've already built. Having said that, though, we are looking actively into identifying new capabilities we want to build. And I use the word capability very intentionally as opposed to a feature, because a capability for me is something like segmentation in itself. Of course, here I have to wave my safe harbor flag again, because this is early stage roadmap. But we are talking with different customers, with different system integrators to help us identify what are the most what are the biggest needs on the platform and their organizations in general. And so some topics that we already see surfacing are things like reporting. There's a lot of customers that want to do better reporting, more efficient reporting, that have more specific reporting needs. And so that's something that we find very interesting because it leans naturally close to data. Another thing in the same category would be the ability to leverage data which is outside of Salesforce Marketing Cloud. So, for instance, a customer may have a data warehouse with much more data in it than in their marketing cloud. And what the use case would be is that they are still able to create a query from within DESelect. And then that query goes and gets the data from the data warehouse, but only that data which is necessary, and then imports it into Marketing Cloud. So that's another use case I find very interesting. And lastly, one other thing that often comes up is things like scoring models, doing things like RFM. We already have some capabilities there, thanks to calculations you can already do in DESelect, but I find it's a topic that's very interesting. Actually, for all these topics, our CTO, Jonathan, is currently doing interviews with customers and system integrators. So perhaps a little shout out if someone in the audience, whether they be a customer or a system integrator, feels they can make a contribution or has like this frustration they want to voice or sees a need for a certain thing, by all means, reach out to us.
Wow, Anthony, thanks a lot for giving us all these details on your roadmap. I think it will help the audience, first of all, to understand what is the potential today and what will be the potential tomorrow. Assuming that companies always evolve, extending or changing their data model, can you, with DESelect, include always new tables? And what is the level of impact involved?
The short answer is yes, we can use any new data that is added in Marketing Cloud without any additional work. So let me elaborate a little bit on that. DESelect is installed for customers through what we call a plug and play integration. Essentially, when a customer signs up for a subscription for us, what we will do is we will do an installment of, it's even called an installed package, within their Marketing Cloud. And it's something that we do. It only takes us about 30 minutes. And from that point on, all the DESelect features are immediately available straight within Marketing Cloud for the customer. And what's more, related to your question, is that any data they have will also be available in the DESelect interface. But this also continues to be the case. This view that they get from within DESelect on their data constantly refreshes. So if they import new data, if they integrate a new data source, and on an ongoing basis, if they collect more data views, and even if they get more modules from Marketing Cloud, like maybe one of the Einstein modules, for instance, it will be immediately available within DESelect. So that's why we say that our integration is not only low touch, it's simply no touch. Once it's there, it's running, and our customers can just continue. So yeah, definitely, this is something we can support.
Well, Anthony, thanks a lot for your time and your information. I hope you liked your avatar.
Well, I love it. I used to be a huge fan of animation movies. And well, if I guess I'm very honest, I still am. And actually, we even use cartoons in our own branding. In our case, we often use a penguin that we affectionately call Dee. We were inspired here by the characters that Salesforce came up with. You know them, like Einstein and Appy. So anyway, yeah, it is great fun to see myself animated. Thank you for that.
From my virtual room is all. See you in the next episode. Thanks a lot for watching this video. Cheers from your Marketing Club brother.